Hey guys. So I apologize, I'm a couple minutes late. That's because when I get excited, I feel like I have to go to the bathroom, but I'm also like 7.5 months pregnant, so you just never know. And I just wanted to make sure we were in the clear. So I'm gonna give you guys a second to get on. I see a few of you joining. Hi, Faith. Yay! Okay, so as we get going, and hi, Amy. I see a lot of the little hearts and thumbs ups, and those really are so motivating. So keep them coming. If there's something that is clicking with you, send some hearts my way so I know that I'm hitting the nail on the head. I'm going to try to, if we have enough time at the end, if there's any questions that come up, I'm happy to answer them. I am really excited. Thank you guys. I see you jumping on. Hi, Mike. Hi, Amy. Hi, Nicole. So I got the topic that I honestly love, and that is how to help your coaches become leaders that stand on their own 2 feet. And I think, of course, that's what we all want. We want a group of leaders that are doing this with us. And I will tell you from experience, there is no higher high than when you find somebody who gets it. And you know when you do. Like when they get it, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not the only one. But I know in the beginning, especially, I know so many of you guys are early emeralds or even just barely diamonds. And I know the frustration that can happen when you have this team full of leaners, not leaders, that you feel like, gosh, why don't they see the big vision like I see it? And I remember that feeling so vividly in my coaching business. It's so funny. When I started my coaching business, I signed up, it was July of 2010. And I remember seeing Christine Dwyer. She was holding the 15-star diamond commission check. And at the time, I'm sure most of you guys probably know my story at this point, we were flat broke. And I remember seeing that check and I was like, oh my gosh, if I could just get one 15-star diamond check, we would be out of debt. It would be amazing. And so I thought to myself, okay, well, I'm going to go all in. And I really did. Like when I went all in, I worked 80 to 100 hours a week. I didn't know what I was doing. So people always ask, like, what were you doing in 80 to 100 hours? No, that was not time well spent. Looking back, I had no idea what I was doing. So a lot of wasted hours, but I was determined to figure it out. And so I went full force, and in 21 days, I went diamond. And so I thought, okay, that's really good. I knew that was really good. I knew that was fast. So I was like, okay, if my coaches do it in double the time, if they take 42 days to go diamond, and if I get 12 coaches, or if I get 20 coaches, and then 15 of the 20 go diamond, and the next 6 weeks, then I could get the 15-star bonus, and we would be out of debt. As you can tell, I was a big dreamer. I just thought, yeah, that makes total sense. And so I got going, and 42 days passed, and I just didn't understand why nobody was diamond. Nobody was doing it the way that I was doing it. And I was frustrated because I was like, what am I doing wrong? I don't understand why these people aren't getting it. So I tell you that story to tell you that, look, I get it. You're like, when you want this and you're hungry, you just don't understand why people don't see it the way that you see it. You don't see why they're not as fired up as you are. So what I came to find in that experience, and it took me, I want to say 9-ish months to go 1-star, and then it took quite a while longer to get to 2-star. And I remember having this conversation with a guy who I had hired to mentor me. I was paying him $200 a month for one phone call. And I remember him telling me, Lindsay, you have a team of followers of Lindsay Matway. They're not wanting to do the business. You're just shoving it down their throats and coddling them. And until you set boundaries and, attract people that are actually going to want to do the business, then you're not going to have any success with this business. And I was like, ooh, gosh. And when he told me the whole leaners versus leaders thing, that I had a team full of leaners that loved, it was like, he's like, your team's like a sorority. It was a reality check that I needed to do some changing within myself to realize that I was not leading them the way that they need to be led to be groomed into top leaders. I wanted to be needed. So I don't know about you guys, but I have this little paper in front of me. I am a rescuer. That it would be my life theme. My whole life I've been that way. I see people as they could be, not as they are. It is a blessing and it is a curse. It's a blessing because I really do, when I meet someone and I hear their story, all I see is how that story can be used for the greater good. All I see is the amazing things that they have ahead of them. And that started with my parents. And so if you don't know, I have not one, but I was blessed with, actually, when you include step parents, like 4 alcoholic parents. And when you have alcoholic parents, you want nothing, and you're a rescuer, you want nothing more than to like show them the light. If they can just see how life could be without the alcohol and how amazing they could be, then they would change and everything would be great and everything would change for the better. And so my entire life, tried to change my parents. I never really focused much on myself. My life was, in my dedication, was all to helping them to be able to beat their disease, and that I was somehow going to learn something, that I was going to tell them that all of a sudden the light was going to break through, they were going to get it, and they were going to change their life. And that didn't happen. And it was a super frustrating process. It is to this day. Luckily, my dad's been sober, I think, 12 or 13 years, crazy, but my mom is still struggling with alcoholism, and I have tried everything. And this is not really to go into detail about my mom, but this is to tell you that you cannot, this is the lesson that I have learned from this experience, you cannot help someone who is not ready to change. If they are not ready to change, you could literally give them every single opportunity. You could throw this, you could buy their way into coaching, you could try and text them every single day, you could, give all your first few customers to get them to Success Club. Maybe once they hit Success Club, they're gonna feel the fire and all of a sudden they're gonna rock. And all the while you're doing those things out of love, because you love that person and because you see their potential and you just want it so badly for them, and you know that once they get the taste, they're just going to be as fired up as you are. And then it all crashes down, and I've seen it not only with my mom, I did everything. And I did that a lot with my coaches too, because I felt like if they realized it wasn't for them and they quit, then I had somehow failed them. And I took that burden on myself, and I felt the same way with my parents. I had somehow failed them. I didn't do enough. What was it that I was missing? And so what I am here to release you from is the truth. And that is, you cannot help someone who is not really ready to help themselves. All you can do is lead them by your own example, is to help yourself and to make the changes within yourself, and lead them by example so that the people that are ready and willing to change can follow suit. And if they were to do what you are doing, would it be enough? Would they be doing something that's leading them in the right direction? And it doesn't mean that necessarily you've cut a clear path to top coach 15-star diamond. It's, are you taking steps that would better their life, that would make them a little bit better, one step at a time? And if you're doing that, you're doing enough as a coach. I know I have a joke with Melissa McAllister that our teams, they were born with a silver spoon, right? Because we both came from uplines that, well, I didn't really have an upline. So I never had a coach to give me a training like this. I never had someone to get on a call with me when I was feeling down to tell me, no, keep going, believe it. I've been there too. I never had that. So I just had to fail my way forward and figure it out as I went. But I think a lot of times, because you guys are all coaches of superstar diamond teams, it can work against you a little bit in your head. You're like, I'm not enough, like I haven't had it all figured out yet, so I can't lead people right. I'm not doing enough. And the truth is, guys, you are so blessed. You have 2 things going for you. One, well, a lot of things, I'm sure, but 2 things that I'm going to point out. One, you have ridiculous training at your fingertips provided by your upline. Tons and tons of resources that you'll never have to go and remake. Like, do not go spend your time remaking videos that are on YouTube already made by some of the top coaches. That's awesome. If I would not have done those videos, or all of them at least, I would have done some, had there been people already out there making those videos. You guys have that, and so you don't have to go spend your time in those areas. You have great content. You have access to awesome training. What you do have is time to give your coaches, and you have more of the one-on-one time that we personally as 15-star diamonds can't give as much of. And so you are a blessing to your team. I go back to Lauren Duke's call because I thought that was so phenomenal, just about knowing your value and knowing ways that you hold yourself back. And guys, you have like the golden opportunity. If you've ever seen the golden opportunity videos, like you have the golden opportunity. You are offering people not only the best of the best training, but you also have the time to give them, and you can lead them by example from the beginning. I think it's harder to relate to a 15-star diamond coach. We run our lives look totally different than someone just starting. And so they're looking at us and it's like, gosh, it's just so much. You are right there in the trenches with them, and you're able to show them step by step what it looks like to be succeeding. So I really am a believer in the law of attraction. And it says on this little quote that I have on here, it says, as you know, like attracts like. If you want better people in your life, you must work on being a better person yourself. So I'm here to ask you, are you your idea coach? Are you the person in this group that has literally been on every single, and not live necessarily, but you've been on every single video, you've watched every single one, you've participated, and you've made sure that you've taken this stuff and you've started to utilize it and act in your business, put it into action? Are you that coach? Because I know I have a lot of coaches that say, nobody participates in my groups. I set these groups up and then nobody ends up really going all in. But I know, because I'm that coach's coach, that they do that with my groups, that I set up these groups and then all of a sudden 2 weeks in, I'm like, hello. And I'm wondering where everybody went. But they're saying they're focused on their team and providing them with great training, but yet they're not leading their team by example by participating in the groups that they're in. So I'm telling you right now, you can't be hypocritical in this business. You can't want for something if you're not doing those things yourself. So I constantly self-check my coaches and myself because I think it's really important. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions and I want you guys to self-evaluate. So 1, do you enter groups like these and actively participate the way that you would want your coaches to participate in your groups? Do you hit Success Club? Do you privately invite consistently? Do you share vulnerably on your Facebook? Do you keep your commitments? Do you actively engage in challenge groups? Do you stay committed to your workouts? Do you encourage other members on the team? Do you step out and lead without being asked? Do you actively look for ways to add value to your team? I think sometimes because you guys are part of 15-star diamond groups, you feel as if you don't have enough to add. But let me tell you, I can always tell the top coaches. I can always tell the ones that are going to rise to the top. They're the ones that take an initiative. They see a small gap. Maybe there's a video that we haven't created or they can't find the answers to. And rather than being frustrated that the answer's not out there, they go figure it out and then they go and create a video and then they bring it into the team and share it. I always think about Brittany Leggett and Bonnie Engel, 2 coaches that are in this group, Lindsay Stay, coaches that are in this group with us. These are my personally sponsored coaches. You could always tell they were going to be amazing leaders because they always looked for ways to add value to the team as a whole. And I can tell when I go into Brittany's page, when I see coaches like Shay Phillips, always adding value to the team, always leading without being asked or actually needing to. She doesn't just give to her own coaches. She makes sure that she's giving to the team and also to Beachbody. You know, I make videos all the time just for Beachbody coaches in general that are never going to impact me financially, but I know that the value will be added to other people out there and they'll be able to use it. So I want you guys to look for ways beyond just your own Facebook page, but look for ways that you can add value and that you can show perspective that maybe we otherwise would never have seen. Those are the videos you need to make. Those are the ones that you were destined to make and that were going to make a huge difference and attract people into your business that are going to connect with you specifically. So that's first. Are you your idea coach? Are you leading people by example? Are you being a rescuer? Like I said, trying to pull things out of people that may not want to help themselves and may not be ready. And that's not to say they'll never be ready. So I'm not saying if a coach falls off the wagon, you're like, I will never work with you again. But I will tell you, back in the day when I was talking about the guy that mentored me once in a while, I asked him, I'm like, what should I do? He said, Lindsay, you always are going to be there for your coaches. You're never going to abandon them, because I had a real fear of that. Like, I didn't want people to dislike me. I didn't want them to be mad at me. But he said, you have to set clear expectations for people and you've got to match their efforts. And if they stop showing up, you can reach out lovingly and say, hey, I've noticed that you haven't really been participating in the group. Is everything okay? And also give them the okay that, hey, if now is not the right time for you, I just want to let you know I'm going to be focused on the other coaches that are showing up, but I want you to know that I'm always here for you. So if there becomes a better time, then I'm happy to help you. Because I think people fear when they do fall away. I think that the reason why they never contact you again, or they go into witness protection program, is because they're embarrassed, like they feel like they fell off the wagon and they disappointed you. And so I try and make sure that those people know, hey, look, I'm not mad at you and I'm not disappointed in you. And if it's not the right time right now, that's okay. I want you to know that I'm always going to be here for you, but I'm also not going to keep bothering you. Mike Casita, who's on this call with us, he's one of my coaches. And this past, I think it's August, he said that he literally had like 4 or 5 coaches re-sign back up because he reached back out to them. These are coaches that had canceled their business. And he reached back out to them and just talked to them about what he had been up to and asked them how they were doing and if they had been doing programs recently. And those people expressed that they were embarrassed that they had canceled, but that they missed the camaraderie of the groups. They missed the accountability that it provided. And they really had been thinking about coming back to it, but were kind of embarrassed to reach out. And I thought that was huge because there were 2 coaches on my team that expressed they did the same thing. Vonda was another one. And they had these awesome interactions with coaches and customers that really did want to come back, but that were embarrassed by the fact that they had at one point dropped the ball. So you're never abandoning these people. You're never telling them, I'm never going to work with you. You're not mad at them. You're telling them it's okay. But you need to be okay with the fact that they're not ready and that you need to be focusing your efforts on people that are. And those people may or may not be signed up on your team right now. So some of you guys might have a team of 4 and literally all 4 are not ready. And that's okay. But you trying to shove it down their throats and convince them is holding you back from your potential. For a long time in my life, and I keep going back to the alcoholic thing because I want to show you how it stopped me. For a long time in my life, I kept going back trying to pull things out of people, and I used other people and their lack of change as my reason why my life was stuck. And so in this business, I decided I'm not going to let the actions or inactions of other people decide my fate. I'm going to decide how and when I succeed, and it's going to be based on my actions. So if people aren't ready, I'm not going to let that stop me from hitting Success Club. I'm going to keep inviting new people until I find the ones that are ready, because I promise you they are out there. You just have to keep searching. Too often, I think people have it like in their mind where I'm going to reach out to 20 people this month and that should get me to Success Club. And then when it doesn't, they're like, nobody's interested. Guess what? There's like thousands, millions of people out there that you can still ask. We have 5 days left. So many people have not hit Success Club. I will tell you right now, I'm at 8 points, which that never happens to me. But I have been, if you go on my Facebook, I've been all baby all the time. You wouldn't even know I'm a coach. It's just all baby. So I need to change my direction and make sure that I'm focused on reaching out to people. I need to go engage and I need to go invite, because that's how I know that I will change my results. So for a lot of you guys, it's taking that responsibility of saying, hey, look, I have been talking to dead horses. It's time for me to go and re-invite and find new people, because I don't have people that are business builders right now. I have discount coaches. The next thing is setting clear expectations. And this is a really important one, because a lot of you guys are givers and you just want to give and give and give. And you think the more you give, the more you'll receive. That's true in a lot of cases, but in this business, you've got to match people's efforts. So you have to set clear expectations and clear boundaries, both on what you expect from them and what they can expect from you. I found that the more clear I was with that, the better people reacted. Before, I used to leave it up to people's imagination. And some people, they expected a lot more than I was able to give. Some people expected a lot less. So when I was clear with it, we were able to establish, okay, this is what I expect from you, and this is what you'll get back in return. And I meet people halfway. I always talk about, there's a saying that I kind of coined that's, you walk, I walk. You run, I run. You sprint, I sprint in this business. And if you stop showing up, I can't chase after. I can't abandon my team to go chase after you, because we're entrepreneurs. We're starting our own businesses. So it's really important that you establish that with your team. And I think that comes down to a confidence thing. I think for some people, they feel like, gosh, I feel weird asking people to earn my time. But I think so many of us are moms or dads. And when I'm taking time with a coach, I'm taking that time away from somebody. I'm taking it away from my husband. I'm taking it away from my child. I'm taking it away from, let's say you have another job, whatever it might be. You're taking the time away from something. So even though you may not be a superstar diamond coach, you are still giving time that you'll never get back. And that time is valuable. And so you have to make sure that you are establishing those things with people so they know that they have to earn your time. So for me, that started with something simple as, hey, if you want to call with me, we can do a weekly or bi-weekly or whatever you want to do, call with your coach, with me. However, I need you to fill out a tracker and send it to me before the call so that I know, what you've been doing in your business, and we actually have tasks when we get on that call. As my business started to grow, that started to become something like you have to have 1 Success Club point on the board. So 1 Success Club point on the board to be able to earn a call. That's not a lot to ask. And then it became you need to have 3 to 4 Success Club points. And then it became you had to hit Success Club 5. And then you would get a monthly call. And in those calls, I'm very specific. You have to fill out. I use acuityscheduling.com, and you can actually create a little questionnaire that you can fill out. And I need them to fill it out. If they don't fill it out, I will send them a message and say, hey, I can't do our call until you fill out the call scheduling question and answer, because I need to know that time is going to be time well spent. I love my team, and so many of these people are my best friends, and I literally could get on the phone and talk for an hour and a half, and I totally used to, but this is a business at the end of the day. And when push comes to shove, and my time is only limited to 24 hours a day, I have to have enough time left over for my family. And so we need these calls to be 20 minutes, and I need them to be specific and effective. And so I ask them what their goals are. I ask them specific questions that they have for me. I go evaluate their Facebook right before the call, and I write down some notes and things that I want to point out. We talk about our initial call is all about them and focused on what they see for their life and creating a vision with them. And then from there on out, it's holding them accountable to that vision and to the actions that it takes. Because a lot of times you're going to hear people talk about what they want to do in the business, but I don't want you to meet them halfway on their talk, and I don't want you to meet them halfway on what you see their potential to be. I want you to meet them halfway on what their efforts are, because it's a huge difference. And that's a big mistake that I made for a long, long time. We inevitably teach people how to treat us. So if you have people that are not showing up for your calls, people that you're hosting a team call weekly, and then all of a sudden everybody says they're going to be there, but then nobody shows up, you're teaching them that that's okay. You have to hold your own ground. You have to start to say out loud, hey guys, I spent a lot of time putting together slides. These things are not easy to do. If it's not important to you, please don't commit to this call and then not show up, because it's really important to me. And I want to make sure that I'm focusing my time on people that do want to show up and do want to do something with this. And I know that's hard to do, but I promise you, you will be so grateful when you set those boundaries. So, earn the time with you. Oh, recognize and reward leadership. And that doesn't have to just be with calls. It can be little things like leaderboards. It can be little things like shout outs, sending a thank you card to someone who's adding value to the team. Being able to point out, just like we do in challenge groups. So we have, obviously most of you are all running your own challenge groups at this point. What do we do with a customer that we see that's doing the activities a coach would? We reach out to them and we say, hey, I just want to say, you are basically doing what we do as coaches. And I admire it about you. The fact that you're so encouraging the other challengers, and you point out those things about them that they're displaying attributes of a great coach. You do the same thing with your coaches. When you're looking for leaders, you point out the attributes that stand out, that are leadership attributes, things. And guess what? Just like our husbands, when we say nice things about the things that they do right, they go and do more of it. So do your coaches. So you want to make sure that you're pointing out those things and really highlighting those people, because then other coaches are like, oh, I want to do that. So then you'll start to notice the engagement becomes better in your groups, and people start to show up. Let's see. Oh, another good one. Today is the 26th of the month. It's a really, really good time for you to go through your drill down, so sponsorship drill down, and check where your coaches are Success Club point wise. If they do not have 1 point on the board, I want you to understand that this person at this point in time is a discount coach. Because I think sometimes we go off of what people tell us and we say, okay, I have 4 business builders and then I have 2 discount coaches because you have 6 coaches. But then nobody has any Success Club points. Nobody has a single PV over 90, their own Shakeology order. And it's the end of the month. I'm sorry to tell you, but you have 6 discount coaches. And there's nothing wrong with that. What's wrong with it is people will continue to spend their time with the 4 discount coaches. And this is not just talking about providing them with training. Obviously, you want to continue to do that if they're showing up. But this is getting yourself to realize you don't have 4 business builders at this point in time. A lot of these 15-star diamond coaches started as discount coaches. So that's not to say that those people can't eventually evolve into business builders. But the first thing I do with one of my diamond coaches before we get on a call is I check their coach on the office and that drill down, and I check how many coaches have 1 point on the board or how many had it in the last month. If in the past 2 months they don't have a single point, and there could be 50 of them, they have 50 discount coaches. So that could be a good way for you guys to self-check and see where your team is realistically at. And it can be ebb and flow, and people are going to come back and forth. And I know that can be super discouraging, but don't be discouraged. What is discouraging is to convince yourself that you have more than you do and watch it all crumble. That's discouraging. Being realistic and realizing, okay, I have 6 discount coaches. It's time for me to work on my recruiting. It's time for me to work on finding more people like me. It's time for me to self-evaluate and say, okay, am I doing all the things? Do I have all the qualities that I want in a coach? And where can I change my messaging to make sure that people know what they're getting themselves into? Another mistake I made early on is I downplayed how hard I worked. I always downplayed it because I was scared to tell people. I thought, oh my gosh, if they see how hard I work, nobody will want to do it. Guess what? There are people that are willing to spend a year or 2 working their butts off to have the kind of freedom that this business can provide. Bonnie, Brittany, Lindsay, these are coaches that have worked their butts off and were not even scared about it because they knew it was going to provide their family with financial freedom and the freedom to change a whole lot of lives. They weren't scared of the work. But what they don't want to do is for you to tell them it was easy, then them get in and all of a sudden it's not easy. So you want to make sure that you're realistic, you're honest with people about the work that it takes and why you're putting in that work. I know for me, I'm sorry, to spend 3 years of my life hustling, working more than most people do, to spend the rest of my life living like most people can't, I'm cool with that. I am so cool with that. And I would do it all over again 100 times over because of the life that this business has given me. The fact that I am pregnant now after all these years and I'm able to really take it all in and enjoy every second of it and not be freaking out, priceless. So I think that that's a really important thing as well. I think, let me see. I think that's all I had. So I don't know what time it is. It's a good question. 1:05. Okay, so about 30 minutes are at this point. Do you guys have any questions? Thank you. I'm so excited. Probably do need to go back and talk about coaching as well, though. Was this helpful? Can I get some hearts if it was helpful? Did it help reality check, self-check a little bit? Good. Yay! Thank you guys. Oh yay, the hearts are so beautiful. Good. How many invites did you do daily when you first started? That's the best find potential coaches. Okay, so I'm not a big tracker. All I know is I knew that the more people I was talking to, just in general, didn't have to necessarily be an invite, but the more people I was adding to my social media, so I tracked how many friends I had on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, and my subscribers on YouTube. I track all of that because I know that the bigger that gets, the more likelihood I'm going to have the right people in there. And they're going to funnel their way through to eventual coach invite or challenge group invite. and those right people are going to be in my life. So that kind of goes into both questions. I would probably say I did at least 10 a day. And I was constantly posting on social media about the opportunity. I was trying to think of as many unique ways to talk about it as possible. I try not to do what everyone else is doing. So you want to figure out a way to stand out from the crowd. You don't want to look like every single other coach. So think about objections that you would have had or that you have or that fears that you had or have, and address those publicly. Bonnie Engel does an amazing job of that. She constantly goes back to where she was at the beginning of her journey and all the fears that she had. I remember all the questions she had. She thought this was literally a scam, and I had to answer so many emails back and forth to get her signed up. And she uses that to her benefit now to talk to people and say, I was that girl that totally thought this was a scam, that thought, the wool was getting pulled over my eyes. And she'll speak that into people. And so people that are feeling that same way feel this connection with her because she felt that way. And now she's talking about it without, covering things up. And that's a really cool thing to do. Sorry, hold on. I have this thing really rigged, so I'm trying to see your questions. How many challengers feel? Many of my challengers feel they're not ready or focuses on them. How do you handle that? Just keep them in there and tell them they rock. So Sarah is one of my coaches, and she is a fitness professional, and I think that's probably one of those things that works for you and against you because you already have the following and you have people already know and trust you for that advice. But what I would do maybe, Sarah, is to be able to what I would do is to maybe find a couple coach stories of people who weren't like that and share those with them and actually say, sometimes you being on the beginning of your journey is more motivating to someone and is more realistic to someone than someone like me who was a fitness professional before. So that's opposite of me. I was not a fitness professional at all and had no clue what I was doing. So I was speaking to people who, hey, I'm starting this just along with you guys as well and starting from the basics and working my way up. But I find that I'm connecting easily with moms who are just like me. And you're not going to be doing anything different as a coach in a challenge group than you are as a challenger in a challenge group because you're leading people by your own example. And it's an awesome accountability tool. Let's see. Yeah, Bonnie, I totally remember you saying that. This would be cool if it's real, but I can't afford to get ripped off right now. And imagine if Bonnie would not have signed up. Those are the things that I think about when I start to feel like, I don't know if I should reach out to that person. Then I think about those stories and I'm like, no. I need to at least put the opportunity out there for people, and it's their decision what they do with it. Okay. Well, seriously, thank you guys so much for jumping on. I appreciate it. And I am so ready for the last, 4 days of this group. We have some awesome stuff on leadership, the final 4 days, and some amazing coaches speaking. So make sure, if you can, get on live to be on. And I will see you guys tomorrow on live. Bye.